Welcome to another episode of Talking Nerdy in the Bedroom with just me again, just KJ. Mike was sick, but he wasn't sick. We found out that he actually got severe allergies, so he just has a really bad cough. Doesn't seem like he's contagious. Corey had a headache, and don't you just want to strangle him? Anyway, so this week we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of just talking about some nerdy stuff, and it's one of the reasons I wanted Mike here, because he just took a mini vacation too, but screw it, the show must go on, so we're going to be talking about vacations more or less, because I just took one, and I also have wanted to talk about the one I took in December too. So let's talk about December 1st, not December 1st, but you know, you get it. Anyway, so in December I actually went to Disney. Well, I guess I should say went to Florida. I mean, I also hit up Disney for a couple of days, but mostly spent it at Universal. So went to Florida to do some theme parks and visit family. And yeah, I'll say if you want to go to Disney, if you have kids to go with you, which it was just a buddy and I that went, and then we had some family members join us a couple of the days. Like, that was fun to watch, like, the little kids enjoy themselves, but Disney as a whole is very kiddish, so if you want to go and enjoy yourself, either you gotta just throw yourself in and be a kid again, which is, I think it's hard for some people. I know Nick and I, when we went, it just felt very kiddie, and there was only like a few things that like sounded great, and there was also some rides that I remembered from when I was, God, so many years ago when I was a kid and I went and I loved, that do not hold up even remotely. But if you can get in the magic of it, it becomes one of those things that you'll probably really like. You just gotta not care that you look stupid, not care that you're enjoying things that are basically designed for kids. But if you have the ability to bring your own kiddos or like nieces, nephews, whatever, and you get to see their enjoyment, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. We saw a lot of kids at Disney. But then when we switched over to Universal, there were kids there, but definitely way more adult. They have the City Walk that's open till like 1 or 2 in the morning every day that doesn't require park tickets, which is like, it's awesome. There's so much stuff there. And then you have the actual parks, and we spent days upon days there and probably could have spent more. We even had to take a day off, which granted we were watching football, so that's fine. But there was just so many parks, so many rides, so much stuff to do that it just became like a great experience. Because again, more adult stuff than like kiddie stuff, and they were all the rides that we enjoyed on going to. There was kids rides there too, don't get me wrong, but there was so much more for like an adult to enjoy rather than like watching the enjoyment of a kid, which is also good. But if you can go and want to enjoy yourself, Universal is the place to go. There's just so many attractions there, from the Harry Potter stuff, which if you're a nerd, like obviously everybody here in this room, which currently is just me, you're going to enjoy Harry Potter. I will say for Disney, we went to the Star Wars park, because that was where I wanted to go, was Hollywood Studios, and we did hit up a few of the Star Wars rides. One of them just like moved you around. You were stationary, but it moved the ride around, and that was fine. But then we went to like one of the best ones, which I think was called Rise of the Resistance, which was a hell of a lot of fun. It's so interactive and it's so expansive. It's fantastic with live actors. It's great. The Millennium Falcon ride was lackluster, I felt. Very lackluster, especially because of Rise. I wish we had done them in a different order, so we ended at Rise of the Resistance, or whatever the hell it was called. Like, that would have been the one to end on, where you go, holy crap, was that just the best ever. And one of the biggest issues with that ride, and to be fair, most rides, especially there, was the wait times. Even when you're using the little magic genie thing, that wait time is atrocious. You're just standing and waiting and hoping, because some of the rides don't work with the Magic Genie. Other of the rides are sold out for 4 to 5 to 6 hours. We wanted to try the Guardians ride, which had just opened recently before we got there, and we literally couldn't get in. And then we signed up early to try to get in, but then missed the cutoff of them doing like from, I don't know what time the park opens, 9 a.m., like 9 to 1. We missed that. So then we wouldn't be able to go again until like 4 to 7. And we ended up leaving the park at like, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock that day. And it just wasn't worth the wait. And it was just like, that was bad. But the rest of the parks in general at Universal/Disney, it's a lot of fun. It's money. It's definitely a lot of money, especially if you want any food or souvenirs or flying, and especially the Orlando airport now is the amount of people flying in and out of there is ungodly. And like, you need to make sure like 6 hours early for your flight. I know when we got there, we were supposed to be like 3 or 4 hours early for our flight. And, we ended up, our ride never came and got us, so we had to call an Uber. So once we got to the airport, we got there, and the lines weren't too bad, and I actually got moved to a different line, which was super short. But then within, I don't know, 30 minutes of being there, it was just mobbed. Like, there's lines out the door, and it was crazy. I'm very glad that we went when we did, and that we're not going again anytime soon, because I'm not looking forward to that part of it. Because flying from Maine to Florida doesn't really take too much from the Maine aspect. You can hop on a flight in Portland, you'll catch a layover somewhere, and then you'll end up down there in Florida. You'll get off the plane, no real issues there. But coming back from the Orlando airport, ugh. Yeah, not looking forward to that. So that was a good time. If Nick was here, I'd probably dive more into it and like what specific rides we liked. I will mention that for the Universal side of things, like Nick finally got to go. Well, I went on the Hulk with my niece. Thank you to Nick for that, and also the Raptor. I don't remember the name of it, but the Jurassic Park roller coaster with my niece because she really wanted to go, and I don't do roller coasters, so they had a blast together once we convinced her that it was okay and she wasn't going to die. And then as soon as she got off, she went from being ridiculously terrified to, jumping for the moon. And so good for him, for them. And then he went on like the Rip It, Rocket and Roll Holocaust. I don't know what it's called. But he went on that like 3 times in a row just because we went on a Monday, I think, and there was literally no line. He just basically was able to walk on, do the ride, walk out, giant smile on his face, and be like, I'm going again, and turns around and gets back on the thing and comes back out a few minutes later. So, definitely the weekdays are the days to go for any of these parks. But speaking of that, so we had the Spider-Man ride, which still holds up. They've done some tweaks to it, but it's more or less you're on the same track. The worst ride at Universal is still the Fast and Furious ride. It's atrocious. I don't even know how that's a ride or why people like it. It was more fun walking through the line, looking at the cars that they had there, than it was the actual ride. That's how bad that one is. I highly recommend everybody skip it. Obviously, the Harry Potter stuff is super cool. It's really hard for me to beat the Jurassic Park log flume ride. It holds up even as a kid and then till today. It's just a lot of fun. We went on that a bunch. We got wet a lot, and it's so funny because they say, you might get a little wet, and we got drenched quite a few times. And I remember there was a guy sitting next to us that got unbelievably drenched, and he was so pissed off, which I just thought was funny. But yeah, definitely if you're able to get down there, especially with family or friends, I mean, you can go solo, but if you go with a friend, it's definitely better. You're going to have a blast. I will say they just opened up some escape rooms there. They're not escape rooms. They are guided tours of rooms where they just kind of like shove you through it, which is a little bit similar to the Saw one that's in Vegas, except the Saw felt more like an escape room with the puzzles, and it felt more like the time actually mattered. Like, you got to get out type of thing. And the production value was way better at the Saw one. But, Universal's, I guess, trying. We tried to do the Back to the Future one, but weren't able to because something broke, because they had only opened it like a day or two before. And then we ended up, they put us in the Jurassic Park one. However, we didn't have time for the Jurassic Park one, so they squeezed us between 2 groups, and it was a shit show. Anyway, if you want to do a real escape room, do an escape room. Don't go to Universal to do their lackluster ones. But But now let's talk about the good vacation. The second good vacation. We're going to talk about Mike's vacation first because I know a little bit about it. And I'll just mention that he left the town, went, I think it was up north, and did like a 4-wheeler trip. And the weather sucked for it, but I mean, if you're going 4-wheeling, it would be better if the weather was nice, obviously, and you might like one day of rain just so if you want to go some, mudding. But yeah, it just happened to be the exact same time that I was on vacation where I went to a camp that I've been renting for years right on Webb Lake up in Weld, near Mount Blue State Park. And Nick and I decided to be really stupid with our money and rent jet skis that were super expensive, but they were a lot of fun. We had 6 days on the jet skis of just hammering across the lake at like 50 miles an hour. There's not much better than doing that with a bunch of friends. Like we had 2 of them, so there was, at one point, it was me, Corey out there, then it was Corey and Nick, then it was Nick and Eric, and then it was myself and Eric, then it was myself and Nick, and they're just a blast. And even though, like, we rented them 2 years ago, and we had 1 or 2 days that were bad weather for the wind, which was awesome for the jet skis because it created some, like, swells for us, and we were hitting jumps like crazy. This was a little bit calmer, we'll call it. But yeah, there was a couple of days where it felt like sheet ice, where there was not a ripple, there was not a wave, there was not nothing. Not nothing. That sounds like there's something. Ignore that. There was literally nothing. So you're just hammering across, which for Nick definitely got a bit boring. For me, I didn't care. It's just like riding around in your car, except you're out in the water, and then you could kill it and just literally lay down on your jet ski. You could lay back, because the ones we rented were like 3 people jet skis. You could lay back and just enjoy the sun. And I will say, we had a lot of overcast, and it did technically rain every day, but every day it rained for only like 5 minutes. And during that 5 minutes, it did downpour, but then it went away. It was a weird week, and Maine's having a weird summer anyway, where it just doesn't know that it can stop raining and just be sunny. But it was so much fun trying to just screw with one another. Nick splashed me, I splashed him, and Eric were getting each other constantly. I ended up flipping it again. I should tell that story. Yes, I sound like an idiot because I flipped a jet ski, but not in a cool way. So 2 years ago, we rented jet skis that were not 3 people jet skis. They were a 1-person, more of a trick jet ski. And Eric, I was kind of like sitting idling, and I was talking to Eric, and Eric kept doing circles around me. And then one of his waves put too much water in one of the sides, and it started to go. And what I should have done, it kind of caught me by surprise, which is why I didn't. Water has got in there before, and it's looking like it wants to tip or sink or whatever. And if you gun it, it'll drain all the water out. And again, these are like sport ones, so they're not designed for like a whole lot of weight comparatively to like the ones that I rented this year. So we rolled it, and then the bar is on the other side of the jet ski instead of in the middle, so you literally have to jump up and over it to grab the bar to then roll it over, which wasn't fucking happening in the middle of a damn lake. So we ended up having to have Eric drive in, and so Nick was watching this, has a video of it, got scared for me of flipping it, and good for him. He got scared for me. He's a good friend. Came running out into the water, because he had a drone, so he was watching it with the drone, saw it happen, put his drone in like hover mode, ran out, cut his foot on some rock that was in the water, ran to the dock, or I don't know, the wharf, whatever you jump off of out there. It should be a dock. Climbed up on the dock, blood all over the dock from his foot. Even though he couldn't do anything, he wasn't going to be able to help. It was in the middle of the lake, but he did that. And then when he realized he had to have come to the realization, like, what am I doing out here? Jumped back in the water and then swam back to shore as his drone was about to like drop down because it was losing battery. So he ended up managing to like get it close to shore and then catching it before it fell in the water. While all that's happening, Eric decided, Eric went and grabbed a rope, and because we didn't have anything else to pull it with besides a rope, grabbed a rope, tried to tow it and me in, but it wasn't really working because it was basically drowning me. Even if you're going slow, if you're just holding on to that thing, you're basically going to drown. So he dragged it in, and then I swam from the middle of the lake back to shore, which sucked because I had a life jacket on, which is a good thing, for the whole not drowning thing, but it completely constricted, like, trying to swim like I normally swim, so I ended up just, like, laying on my back and just swimming in that way. And then we got it in, then we had to fix it, and it had a lot of water in it, so we had to drain that out. And then everything was fine. We kept jet skiing, no problems. So then this time around, let's see, we got them on Saturday, jet skied a little bit. Then on Sunday, jet skied literally all day. Monday we went out, and I think that's the day I flipped it. It was either Monday or Tuesday. And it was a really nice day outside, and we were out jet skiing, and I kept seeing Nick, Eric, and Corey when they were up doing donuts, just constantly doing donuts. And I had been doing like bigger donuts because I didn't want to take the chance of flipping it, especially flipping it, 2 years in a row of having the jet skis. So I ended up like, while we were sitting there talking, and then he started doing it over on his side, and I was like, all right, screw it. What if I just start slow? Which, if you know anything about jet skis, and I clearly don't go slow. Your best idea is to go a lot faster, because if there's water on where you put your feet, it's going to drain it out, and they're just made to go quick. They're not made to go slow. So I tried to do like a slow donut to begin to like kind of build up my confidence to it. And the second I tried so much, because if you know anything about a donut, you're going to turn the steering wheel, and then you're leaning. And as soon as I did that, going slow with no propulsion, it just filled up where you put your foot, and you're already leaning, and it just started going. So I jumped off, it flipped over. However, these jet skis have the bar in the middle. The second I got in the water, I jumped up, grabbed it, flipped it back over, no problem. But then became the problem when I couldn't get back up on the jet ski. And Nick tried to help without trying to flip his jet ski. I got so close like 3 times. And then we learned afterwards, and I'll get back to the other story in a second, but we learned afterwards that the jet ski that Nick had has a little ladder that you can pull down that helps you climb back up on it. However, my jet ski didn't have that. There was nothing to put your foot on to climb up. It's all upper body strength. And I've got some upper body strength, but I've got some body to go with it. So it wasn't happening. So I was still in the mindset of what happened 2 years ago. So I told Nick to go in because I had bought this thing to tow just in case it was to happen again. So I went and did that. And as he was going to get it, it just clicked to me. I'm like, why? If I can drag this thing to shore because it's already upright, if I can swim it to shore, I can just jump back on it. So that's what I did. I swam it to shore. Shore was ungodly rocky and mucky, so I had to try to get to a spot, dig out some rocks, and eventually jump back on it. But then I was fine, and it was no problem. To the point where then Nick got a little bit curious if he was going to be able to pull himself back up on himself. Granted, this was before we knew there was a ladder there. So he ends up getting close to where the dock was back towards our beach, and he jumps off, and then he pulls himself right back up, no problem. Then when we went out jet skiing again later in the week, he'd just jump in the water, enjoy a quick swim anytime it got hot, and then we'd keep jet skiing because he had that stupid-ass ladder. So yeah, moral of the story, make sure there's a ladder if you're going to be a bigger guy so that you can climb up and don't have the upper body strength. But I will say there is something, let alone the jet skis, because those were fun as shit, hanging out with friends, obviously a great time. But there is something about just being at a camp away from things. I had my cell phone, which barely had service. There was a TV that technically had direct TV that we watched, especially when it was raining or at nighttime. But there's something about just being at a camp where you don't have to worry about work, where you don't have to worry about life, you don't have to worry about anything, and you're just relaxing. It's definitely a nice, needed reset. There was a few of the days where I just laid on the hammock that's out there, drinking a couple cold ones. I forgot my book, damn it. Every year I go to that camp, I always bring a book, and I try to read it while I'm in the hammock and usually finish it the week that I'm there. And I forgot it this time. I mean, I still enjoyed the hammock, I still enjoyed the beer, still enjoyed the sun when it came out, I still enjoyed all the friends coming to visit, but yeah, I definitely miss having that book. And also, I will say, a timeless TV show that has never failed us being at that camp is either Law & Order or Law & Order SVU, because when it's raining, or you've just come in from like a 4-hour jet ski ride and you need a break and you sit down, Law & Order is always on regular TV. And I haven't had regular TV in forever because there's no reason to. There's Netflix, Hulu, all that streaming shit, so there's no reason to have basic cable or premium cable or DirecTV or any of it. So with that, we would come inside and almost every time there'd be something on. One of the Law & Orders, or when I'd wake up in the morning and I'd cook breakfast, I would like pause one of the Law & Orders and then cook, and then after we're done cooking, Nick and I would eat, and then we're watching Law & Order and can skip commercials just like if it was Netflix or Hulu or something. But they were literally, I don't know if there was a single time where it wasn't on one channel or another. And you're talking like spanning like 6 channels it was on, either Law & Order or Law & Order SVU. It's always good when you can sit down and watch something that, you know, that keeps you entertained while you're at the camp before you go back outside. Nick ended up buying me for a late birthday present this axe throwing kit. Think of it like a kid dartboard, not with like felt, but like with those little spikes, but with axes, and it was actually a lot of fun playing me, him, and Eric, and especially Nick and I, because we were there all week, and I don't know how many games we played, but it was a lot. And we kept doing different distances, different rules. We tried to play at night, which was a shit show because we couldn't see anything. We played basketball in and out of the water because they have a basketball hoop there, and then we also brought an inflatable basketball hoop. So, yeah, I highly recommend. I mean, this shouldn't be that hard of a thing to say, but it seems like more in the U.S., a little bit less now than what it was. But people like don't take vacations, and there's this thought that if you take a lot of vacation or use all your vacation time that you have, that it's looked badly on, and it shouldn't be. It's so needed for rest. It's part of your benefits package. Just take the time, enjoy it. Don't worry about work. If work says, oh, well, where do we reach you? Tell them to fuck off. You're on vacation. You're getting paid to go enjoy yourself and not have to worry about work. I used to be one of those people that always said, call me. If you need me, just let me know. Anything I can help with, just let me know. And there's been so many times I've been on vacation at an escape room or out in California, or I think even, no, it wasn't in Vegas. Vegas, I was at the State. So just a ton of different vacations where I've done and where I've gotten a call and I've had to like stop having fun to handle a business thing. And that's not my job. My job when I'm on vacation is just to enjoy my vacation and recharge. So when I go back to work, I don't want to, kill myself or everybody else. And people need to have that mentality, not the killing mentality, but the mentality of just clocking out and being done with work while you're enjoying your vacation. It's a way to save yourself from getting burnt out. It's a way to save yourself from hating your job if you don't already, and it's a way to not want to quit your job either. As I know a lot of people that have had jobs where people will call them and be like, well, what do we do about this? And what do we do about this? That's not my problem. It's your job to fix that. I'm not there. You're supposed to be covering. Whoever your boss is supposed to be having that handled. And if they don't, that's on them. That's not on you. You're on vacation. And everybody should have a camp that they go to. Everybody should have a destination to go to. Everybody should have friends or family to go with to actually enjoy it. And then it probably goes without saying, but you probably need a few days off from your vacation too. So if you're going to take off 5 days, maybe take off 8 or 7, just so, and no, I'm not counting weekends, just so you have a day or two to like relax and recharge from your vacation. Now, mine's a little bit different with being at the camp because all I did was relax. But when I did the Florida one, when we got back, I was exhausted and I went back to work, I think the next day or the day after, I don't remember. And I was ridiculously tired and I didn't want to do anything. And you basically just need a vacation from the vacation. So yeah, if there was more people here, I'd talk to them about their vacations. Corey hardly takes any vacation unless it's like with me somewhere, like with Vegas or down to the escape rooms or Bodeborg. Shout out to Bodeborg. Mike does a bunch. He's on vacation right now, but not doing anything. He's got his little staycation going on. We just went out on the boat, which was a lot of fun. We're hopefully going back out again this coming week. When this episode comes out, it will be, I think, July 3rd. Yeah, that's what Monday is, July 3rd. So happy 4th of July to everybody. Enjoy it. Enjoy the vacation. Enjoy the fireworks if that's your thing. Enjoy hanging out with family. Enjoy, hopefully sun. I don't know. It's not looking great. But hopefully maybe some sun. Enjoy some cooking, some laughs, and all that stuff. And we will get everybody back together next week for the podcast. I have a couple ideas for the episode, so we'll see what we're at. As long as everybody's good. Mike's not sick anymore, just got allergies. Corey hopefully won't be a whiny little bitch. And then, yeah, we'll be back together next week.